Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be taking you through how to work your dog in distracting environments. This is going to be more of an introductory level video, past the point though of working on some skills at home, and actually you're ready to take your dog out to the next step of working around distractions in the environment. So I'm going to be taking you through a couple of considerations to think about if you think that your dog is ready for this, if you're wondering, is my dog ready for this? These are a few of the things that I would consider before you jump into starting to do some of these things outside with your dog. The things that I would really strongly recommend working on with your dog before you start to take them and work them in distracting types of environments is number one, relationship building with you. That is the biggest thing and the biggest factor that it really goes into a lot of distraction training is how good is your relationship and your training relationship in particular with your own dog. Fenway is going to be the one that is featured in the majority of this video because it is him that I am working on this skill with right now. So for his first several months of life, my primary focus, and I know I talked about this on here, especially on my Instagram as well, my primary focus was not teaching him how to sit or lie down or do any cool tricks or anything like that. My focus was actually just building a really good relationship with him. That at its core is what is actually going to get you the best results. When you're out and about, if you know that you have already built up a really strong trust level and bond with your dog, and your dog knows that they can trust you in any different environment, they can always turn to you for help if they need it, if they get nervous, stuff like that. That is at its core what is the most important piece of this. So if you have a younger dog, I would recommend working on a lot of relationship building skills. Play with your dog, pay attention to your dog, do basic level training with your dog, things that can help build your relationship with your own personal dog. That is going to be a huge aspect to consider here. Some of the other things I would really recommend working on at home are eye contact, both teaching it as an offered skill. You can do that via capturing or teaching it as a cued skill. I have another video. I'm going to link that, all of these videos basically that I'm going to be talking about skills wise. I have a video for every one of them. I'll link all of them down below. So eye contact, basically. Your dog just offering you focus. If your dog is offering you focus, they can't be really paying attention or doing anything you don't really want them to be doing in a distracting environment. Loose leash walking. So you can actually focus on working around the distractions. Loose leash walking kind of has to be one of those skills that your dog already has under their belt before you start to work with it. Now, it does not have to be completed by any means, but at least a good solid start on loose leash walking is just going to make your job a lot easier. Mat training. Mat training is a big one, especially if you are wanting to work with your dog on working with you in coffee shops and breweries. I really like mat training for something like that. If you're going to take your dog somewhere and sit yourself and hang out for a while, mat training is a great foundation skill to teach to that. I would also strongly recommend teaching your dog a game called the Engage Disengage game. I have a video that is titled Look at That. It is the exact same game, Engage Disengage or Look at That game. It basically teaches your dog what you want them to do whenever they look at a distraction. And that is, we make the distraction a cue for them to turn back and pay attention to you. So that can be a really crucial skill to teach ahead of time. You can use the outdoor distractions to elevate your dog's level of understanding with that game, but I would teach the basics at home first. And then really practicing with mild level distractions before you take them into a brand new area, brand new place, a brand new setting that they've never been to before. Practice first in different settings that are just mildly distracting to your dog. You might take them outside into your front yard and put them on leash and work with the kids running by or the dogs being walked by, people on bikes, skateboards going by. That might be a good initial way to practice working your dog around distractions. So mild level distractions in areas that your dog is familiar with first, and distractions that you can control initially. You might have your significant other hold a squeaky toy or your dog's favorite toy, and that is maybe a medium to high level distraction, but you can control how exciting that squeaker toy actually is to your dog, or your partner can in that moment. So working with mild level distractions or distractions that you can control are going to be ideal for practicing initially. Now, some of the other really important considerations to take into account is not every dog is going to be the dog you can take anywhere. That, I think, is the biggest hurdle that people need to get over, is that not every dog is cut out for that. Yes, you can do a lot of different training and you can teach your dog the different skills, but do they actually enjoy it? And do they actually get, have a good time with that? So considering whether your dog is actually going to enjoy the experience, just first and foremost, is going to be a massive consideration here. The other thing I would recommend considering is just know what your dog's limitations are. Taking Fenway, for example, he can adapt to a new situation pretty quickly, but initially he needs a little time to take everything in. So he's not the dog when I first go into a brand new situation that I go straight in. He's not that dog. I allow him first to hang out from a distance away, and this is something I'll talk a little bit more about in this video as well, but he's a dog that I'll let him hang out a distance away and check things out first and let him take it in, and then if and only if he is comfortable, then do we decide to go in. If at any point he gets overwhelmed, once he is inside that situation, I will remove him and I will take him farther away to where he is more comfortable. That is something that is really important for your dog, again, to actually enjoy doing something like this and not be forced to do something like this. Big difference that we're going for there is knowing your dog's limits, and the best way you're going to know their limits is by reading their body language. So I'll put some resources to body language stuff down in the description below as well, and getting really good at reading how your dog is actually feeling about things and picking up on the subtleties that your dog is trying to tell you. Most people blow right past those subtleties. Your dog might be screaming in their own language, "I'm uncomfortable," but we as humans are not taught to read our dogs very well until you get that very overt type of reaction from your dog. And then it's like, oh, all of a sudden my dog reacted to this. Well, your dog probably tried to tell you in the 5 to 10 minutes leading up to that they actually were very uncomfortable with that situation. So make sure that you have a good understanding of how to read your own personal dog. Again, I'll put some resources down below. So if you have determined that your dog is the dog that you're like, yes, I want to teach them how to work around distractions in new environments, this kind of stuff, all these considerations that I had talked about are really for the people that really want their dogs to be able to, again, you take them everywhere with you and they do all the things with you. If you're really just going for I want to teach my dog how to work around distractions, this video will also be helpful for that. I just wanted to lay out a couple of those considerations if that is your intention, which I think is a lot of people's intention as well. But if you know your dog's limitations and you're like, great, I'm just here for distraction training tips, I know my dog's limits, that's great. You will get those tips here as well. Number one is bringing high value food with you. You are going to want to bring something to compete with the level of distraction that you're asking your dog to work in. I think a lot of people just expect their dogs to work for them, like they're just loyal and they should just work for free and my love and all of the things. No. Dogs are just like us as people. I don't know about you guys, but I would not continue to do my job if I stopped getting paid tomorrow. I wouldn't do it. I'd rather go hiking in the mountains all day with my dogs, right? That's not something that would be nice for me, and it's not something that's great for my dogs either. You always want to pay your dog, especially considering what you're actually asking from them and what you want them to do. So if we're working around distracting things, we got to pay them quite a bit higher than if we're just working on a cool trick that they're learning inside the house where there's no distractions at all. So matching the environment with the food value or reward value, it doesn't have to be food necessarily, but food is just easy and it's reinforcing for all dogs because all dogs have to eat. So figuring out what your dog likes, first of all, is going to be extremely helpful, and bringing several of those with you. I would bring 3 to 4 different value treats with you, and in the high value range, bring several different options. Dogs get bored of eating the same thing over and over again. It's likely that you could be doling out chicken or cheese or steak for 30 minutes, and then all of a sudden your dog is like, I would gladly take anything else that is not steak that I've just been eating for the last 30 minutes. So bring extra stuff and a different option for your dog whenever you work them out in distracting environments. The next thing that you want to think about is whenever we're working around distractions with our dogs, we need to significantly lower expectations. Okay, I wanted to describe a little bit more about what's going on in this video. I'm at New Belgium here with Fenway and his brother's sidekick, and we're working around distractions. I'm playing a little treat toss game called Ready, Find It. I look at my puppy, I say ready in a really upbeat, excited tone, and then I say find it and toss the treat on the ground. Later on, he'll be able to, once he recognizes those words, actually turn around and respond to the ready cue. So it's used as a kind of an attention getter in that way in this context, and he's going to come back to me for the next toss treat as well. So it's a great engagement game to teach your puppy to focus on you, but it's also extremely easy. So your puppy's going to be able to, and I'm saying puppy, your adult dog too, would be able to learn how to focus on you in a distracting environment, because this game requires actually no thinking whatsoever. We're just tossing food on the ground for our dogs to find, decreasing expectations in a high distraction environment like this. We can also use it as a game to tell whether or not our dogs are overstimulated or a little bit scared of something going on. If they stop taking the food with this really, really easy level game, something needs to change. So you can kind of use that as an evaluation standpoint for working with your dog in a distracting environment. See if you need to change things up, if they need a break, or if you can push forwards. Our dogs are not going to be able to perform as well as they can in a no distraction or low distraction environment because there's things going on around them, and that's a lot of input for their brain. So whatever they are capable of doing at home, you want to expect a whole lot less of them whenever you're out and about. And again, reading their body language, sometimes if your dog is overwhelmed or they're what's called over threshold, either they're too excited or they're too nervous, they're not going to be able to follow through with anything you are asking of them. So reading your dog's body language is going to be really helpful here for determining where they're at on that scale. Past that, what you're going to do is reward often and reward for what you like. Okay, and what you like doesn't always necessarily mean paying direct attention to you. A big part of what you're going to see in these videos of me working with Fenway is I choose to reward him for looking at things calmly. Okay, in this clip here, there's a lot that's going on. So I'm rewarding Fenway for not only choosing to look at me, but more so choosing to look calmly at these goats. He's never seen goats before in his life. This was the first time that he had ever seen them, and he gets a little bit nervous right here. So I'm waiting to see what decision he's going to make right here. He's going to decide to come back towards me. I'm going to offer him food. He actually stopped taking food right here, so I decided to back up with him to add some more distance. As soon as my dog stops taking food, and as soon as your dog stops taking food in a particular environment that might be distracting or overwhelming, I would immediately start to add distance. There's no more learning that can take place or anything positive that can take place if your dog stops eating. So you immediately want to add distance. And this is a much more helpful distance for Fen, and he's choosing to play the engage-disengage game here, where he's looking at the goats and then he's looking back at me. A great skill, and I'm rewarding him like crazy for it. And me treating on the ground right there is going to be helpful for just breaking his eye contact focus with the goats, and he is going to choose to leave this situation and get excited about moving away and seeing his new best human friend as well. So this is a perfect example of exactly what I was talking about here. He is a border collie, he's a herding breed, he's going to be way more predisposed to having a reaction about something and choosing to bark or lunge or growl at something that I would rather him not do. So he gets a ton of reinforcement for choosing to watch things and remain calm about those things. That is a big, big theme that you're going to see throughout this video, and a big thing I would recommend teaching the engage, disengage, or look at that game ahead of time for. That actually will teach your dog that concept as well. So the rest of this, I'm going to jump right in and show you guys some of the rest of the clips that I have in this video and walk you through what's happening in them, what I'm choosing to reward for, all of the things, how I'm handling the distractions with my own puppy. So here I'm actually not really sure what Fen was alerting to, but that engage-disengage game, basically he was noticing something and he has been taught to notice something and then turn his attention back towards me, and I'm going to reward him for that. But if he's noticing things calmly, like in the previous clip you were seeing, I'm going to continue to let him look on his own without reaching out and feeding him. That's also a good skill to build. I don't always have to have the food right in play. Back to this clip. This is at our local farmer's market, and there was another dog barking within the market itself, and Fen started barking as well. So I redirected by targeting his nose with a treat and then bringing it back around and treating him on the ground, and then I'm treating pretty heavily. I'm also sitting on the outskirts of the market as well. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. I will usually start on the outside of a situation with Fen until he gets comfortable, and then I'll choose to move more inside. This park nicely had these little platforms, and Fen knows platform go to place stationing behavior, so that's where that comes in handy here. And here he's looking comfortable, so I invited him off and decided to head on in with him. Okay, this was in the dead center of the farmer's market. Fen actually chose to come over here, and he wanted to kind of station here himself so he could watch all the people go by. People are his favorite thing. You can actually kind of see his tail wagging at the end of the clip right here. But I'm choosing again to reward him for sitting here and kind of remaining calm about the situation. He chose to lie down on his own. I didn't ask him to do that, but again, that goes back to our foundation level training. Whenever I chose to sat down or station somewhere, I kind of taught this to him as a default behavior, so it's just something that's carrying over here. I'm offering him food, but I'm also allowing him to just look around. He looks relatively calm. His ears are a little bit back. There's a lot going on around him. Part of that is excitement. Whenever he gets excited about seeing people, his ears just pin back to his head, and he gets so wiggly and excited about it. But also he's kind of just taking everything in. So he's still in a casual, relaxed down though, and he's got a really soft expression. So he looks really comfortable to me here, and I am just offering him food every once in a while to reinforce that, hey, this is a great positive association and space that we're in right now. So building up that really good skill that he is just choosing to offer right here with all the people walking around. This was at another local brewery, and I highly recommend. This is where your mat training comes into play, throwing a mat on the ground when you take your dog to a place like this, and bringing a high-value chew. I've got like a trachea, I think, is what he's working on right there. So I offer him some sort of high-value chew in a situation like this, and he can just lie down and settle. Same exact deal in this clip as well. We're at a local coffee shop, got our mat, got our chew. You guys are kind of starting to see a theme here. So also getting your dog used to just sitting down and working on things in low distraction environments first, but you're taking them to multiple different environments. Here I've got him outside of a different farmer's market, again working on a chew. So this is something that we can make very normal to your dog before taking them to higher and higher level distracting places with very, very crowded environments to be able to replicate this behavior in. This was more of a recent clip when we took a trip to Lowe's. I am rewarding Fen every single time he chooses to check in with me on his own. Check-ins and automatic check-ins are kind of a normal thing that he's used to offering at this stage. He's about 8 months old, and from all the previous experiences, he knows how to do that at this stage. I also am choosing to just allow him to walk at a leisurely pace. This again is not something I need like his direct focus on. He's walking with a relatively loose leash. He is looking pretty calm in the situation, and he's offering me a lot of great check-ins, which is exactly what I'm looking for in an environment like this. I don't need him to be like perfectly next to me the entire time and eyes on me the entire time. I just want him to be a happy, relaxed dog, just being able to listen in an environment like this and be generally happy. Okay, another kind of funny sloppy sit station behavior right here. Fen is eventually going to be a demo dog for me in group classes. So this is at one of our training facilities, and I'm working him around distractions and asking him to station on this platform. So another reason that mat training can be helpful is to keep your dog in one place while you're working around distractions. So you guys can probably tell at this point that this is getting pretty repetitive, right? And that's exactly what I was kind of hinting at the start of this video. It's a lot of the same stuff. It's just doing it in different locations and different environments. So just all of those concepts that we talked about, rewarding your dog for checking in with you, bringing high value food, making sure that they're not going over threshold, rewarding them for looking at things calmly, right? And all the other things that I mentioned in there. It's all of the same stuff, and it's really easy stuff when you kind of break it down and actually think about it, but it just takes a lot of practice in generalizing in new environments and a bunch of different environments as well to make it a fluid concept for your dog. You're going to have to take your dog to many, many, many different locations in order to make this a well generalized behavior and one that they're going to be able to replicate pretty easily in any new situation that you take them into. So I'd recommend following all the tips that I recommended earlier in the video. And I've got one more for you guys that I want to make sure I talk about really quick before I go. Give your dog breaks. That's my biggest and last tip, is make sure to give your dog plenty of breaks. Sniffing is a great outlet and a stress reliever for situations like this. You can actually get sniffing pretty well generalized as well, just teaching your dog to go check out new sniffs in their environment. I'd actually also recommend letting them do this before you ask them to work with you too. It's going to help them focus a whole lot better, and they're going to be able to de-stress themselves this way as well. I hope that video was helpful for you guys. I probably will continue to make videos like this with more intense level distractions, if you will, as Fenway gets a little bit older and his skill set gets a little bit better as well. But that's kind of really what it boils down to. Distraction training is nothing super fancy. It's a lot of rewarding for your dog looking at things calmly, your dog looking at you, your dog just choosing to like remain calm in a situation. It's nothing fancy. It's just a lot of repetition of teaching your dog, this is what I want you to do, and on repeat. So hopefully this was helpful for you guys. Let me know if you have any questions in the description below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.